welcome. We're going to do some deal structure today. A couple of announcements before we do that. If you are not registered for Summer of Deals, our 1 day event where we do exactly what we're about to do on this training is on Friday, June the 3rd, all day. So if I believe Kristen or Pete, if you could put that in the link, you need to come to that. This is a 1 day event, fast deals, 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 deals. A lot of the stuff that we're talking about today, if you, we assume you have Academy. This is in QLS. This is in Linda. Get Academy. Um, Steve, give us a kind of a backdrop as to what we're going to talk about here. And Zach's going to whiteboard it, if I'm correct. Zach, your wrist still works, just not your voice.
Yeah,
Yes, my penmanship is still on point.
Yeah, yeah. Give it to us, Steve.
we're going to review a owner financing deal we picked up in November from a gentleman who had a handful of properties. He's a professional landlord. And this guy knew exactly what he wanted. He told us exactly what he wanted. We ran numbers and it was completely doable and reasonable. And we moved forward actually very much faster with this guy than we typically do. It was like a week and a half from first call to sign. So from there, that's just kind of the overlook of it. And now, Zach, do you want to jump into specifics?
Was the house vacant, Steve, when you spoke to him?
Yeah, yeah. So this was a rental for 15 or 20 years before I came along. He had it as a FISBO when we had called him. Okay. Uh, this gentleman, it was kind of an interesting story here. So he sold this house. He rented it and then he sold it to his daughter so she could have cash flow. So she was actually cash flowing it for a handful of years. And then she wanted to be out. So he bought it back from her. And when he bought it back from her, he had rented it for a handful of years. And then that's when we called this guy when he had just had a vacancy from his lease being up with that person. And then he was just deciding to throw it on the market in November of 2021.
Okay. Super. Tired landlord, vacant house. Sounds like a winner for me. All right. What'd you buy it for?
We had agreed on 219,000.
219,000 is the purchase price.
Yeah, he originally wanted 229 and he wanted, how much down did he originally want? He wanted like 20% down.
Okay, so he wanted 229. What was did you use any particular script or anything to get him to the 219?
Yeah, so and no, how much did he want down originally? I think he wanted 10,000 down is what he wanted. So we ended up getting him down to 219 with 15K down. But here's the thing with him. He wanted $5,000 down when he signed. He wanted a deposit because he was worried that since we were closing in, I think it was 120 days or 90 days from when we closed with him, from when we went under contract with him, he just didn't want to go ahead and have that house vacant with us, may or may not buy it. He wanted us to have some skin in the game. So we put a 5K deposit down.
Okay. Total down is 15.
15 on February 28th when we closed.
So you closed. Okay. So 5 plus the 10.
Yeah, so 15 altogether.
All right. What's I'm going to go, we're going to go backwards here. I like to know what the term is before the monthly. What did you agree?
60 months. He didn't want to go any longer than that because I believe he said, I don't know if I'm going to be alive in 60 months. That was his exact words.
It's great. You gotta love those sellers. All right. And monthly payment to the seller.
The monthly payment to the seller altogether is $1,125.17.
There has to be interest on that.
There is 3% interest.
How much was it?
3%.
Okay. So I don't have the amortization schedule in front of me. How much of that is principal?
The first payment, because it's obviously going to be changing, it's $230. That's principal. And then the rest is 500 of it. $503 is interest off the bat. So it's a $733 principal and interest payment. The rest is taxes and insurance.
Okay. Got it. All right. All right. So just say that didn't add up. All right. So 230 principal. What is it? what does it look like at the end of the 5 years? Do you
For,
know?
are you asking me what the principal pay down looks like over all those years?
Yeah, if you know, otherwise we could
Yep.
just, yeah.
13,800. But it's going to be higher than that because that's based off of $230 times 60. But as we know, every time we make a payment, the principal goes up and the interest goes down, just like a regular mortgage.
Okay. Super. All right. What are we selling this one for, or what did you sell it for?
249.9.
Sweet.
Yep.
And monthly from the buyer.
Yeah, there's not a huge spread here because because we had to do a bunch of drops here, but the payment is 1,163 and 58 cents.
Okay.
So the spread, Brian, if you're ready, is $38.21.
It's not if I'm ready. Zach's the one writing it,
Oh, I'm sorry.
but I'm ready.
Yeah.
And while we're doing this,
$38 what?
I want everyone to think about any questions they have. You can either write them down or type them in the chat on how we come up with these numbers. And, this is the intricacies of it. We'll answer afterwards.
Yeah.
All right.
Zach,
So
Zach,
payday one, what'd you get on the down?
Yeah, and Zach, $38.21. I don't want you to try to inflate this bill on us.
38.21 times 60 is $2,293. That's rounded up.
Yeah, yeah.
What was that? 2000 what?
I have it's $2,292.60.
Yeah, let's make sure we get those 60 cents so that way you can
All right.
penny, give a penny, take a penny jar.
That's right. All right.
Payday one, what'd you get for a down from this buyer?
Well, this house is not sold yet, but I talked about it with Nick, and he said let's not do a complete 10% because he doesn't want to commit to the house we haven't sold yet. So 20,000. He said for payday one is the most likely. It probably will be higher, but let's go on the lower side.
Okay. 20,000. I assume we're also going to collect the 1163.58. We're keeping that.
Yeah.
The first month.
Yep.
We always keep that. That's extra profit. All right. Payday three.
All right. So like I said, the payday three is the 13,800. That's the 230 times the 60 months. And then the overage of the sales, Zach, when you're ready.
230 times 60 is what?
It's 13,800.
No cents.
No cents on it.
Okay. What's there's no premium left over?
10,900.
I had 24. 1, 2.
7. No, you're right.
24/7.
Yep, 24/7.
That's it. 24/7.
24/7 owner financing.
There you go.
All right. That adds up to
All of them together is $61,992.60. Because we put the $15,000 down, but that obviously is $15,000 of principal pay down.
correct. And it'll be a little bit higher because your principal will be higher.
Yeah,
At the end.
it will be. So two things here. It will be higher, yes. How much? Probably, I'm assuming like between $1,000 and $2,000 if I was to guess, maybe a little higher than that. And also, I didn't factor in the first month's rent. The first month's rent is going to throw this somewhere over 63, low 63, 200 or something around there. So that's all in.
Sweet.
But what's cool about this one is this guy nailed literally almost every one of our avatars as a seller. Non-owner occupied, super flexible, knew what he wanted. He was trustworthy. He was trusting of us. He was flexible. And because he had been doing this for so long and he wasn't trying to gouge us and we weren't trying to gouge him, it's like we're able to put this deal together almost without any negotiating. The only thing we had negotiated was bringing the down payment up a hair and the asking price down. He didn't ask any questions. He was just like, he's done it before. So it was easy to talk to him because I know from the houses that we have taken under contract in the past that they line up with a seller like him, like on the tee. Or we did this, just so you guys know, within our team, we do what's called a seller's journey meeting. So basically what that is once a week, we would meet with the team, the taken team, right? And we would just choose a seller, okay? Whether it was a successful seller, meaning we did a deal with them, or one that we had spoke to them and it just died off at some point, right? And because we have all of our call recordings and like all of our touch bases in our CRM, we would spend an hour on one seller, okay? On one side on a tab, we'd have our avatar seller right here. Like I was saying, all the traits of a seller we've worked with that went successfully and what we knew about them that just went along well with our business. And then on the other side, we actually went from the first contact, whether it was a text message, a phone call, whatever it was, all the way down to the last conversation before we got it out in an agreement. And we like evaluated it, listened to the call. We were critiqued ourselves. We saw what we could have done differently, what went well. We do that on a weekly basis because when you have a very clear cut idea of what your sellers look like that you successfully work with, it brings so much perspective to the ones that don't work out. Because then when you start comparing them, you say, oh, okay, this person's not flexible. This person obviously didn't trust us yet, or this person didn't have enough motivation. Didn't have enough pain threshold yet. It's a very powerful process that we do. It gives us clarity on who we should be talking to. And then when we do find that person, we know how to talk to them immediately, if that makes sense. I'm sure you guys have questions, but I thought it was important to bring that up.
Beautiful. So is it safe to say, Steve, great deal, that this seller might be open to an extension down the road if he's still around, as he says?
You know what? This guy is like so easy to talk to. He's not pressing about anything. I would not be surprised if we reached out to him and however many years, a couple of years from now, and say, hey, if we do this, would you be open to going an additional year, whatever it is. This guy's so laid back that I would not be surprised at all, even though he said that.
All right. Good. Love it.
Actually, well, one of the things we did, and unfortunately it didn't work out, but we waited till this, because I knew from our first conversation with Norman, was his name, he had 4 other properties other than this that were rented. And then what we figured, let's go ahead and let's get this one to come to fruition. Let's close this deal out, and then we'll call Norm again and see if he's open to doing this on any of his other ones. When we called him, this guy apparently in 3 months had put all 4 properties on the market. He sold them all. But that would have been a cool opportunity if he did.
Steve, we're getting a question on the interest rate.
Yeah.
Talk about how you came to the 3%. I assume
there's
a story there.
There is a story. Good question. So originally, Norm, when I was talking to him, like he knew exactly what he wanted. I said, well, what are you thinking for a payment? He's like, well, I've done it in the past with my mortgage calculator. It's $730 a month is what I would be okay with. I thought it was like 4.5%, he said to me. So what I did was when I went back off the phone and I started running numbers and I threw the numbers into a mortgage calculator, and with that 4.5%, it jumped the interest rate up to the monthly payment to like $900 something a month. So I literally kept dropping the interest rate until it got him to his monthly payment, and that was 3%. And when I told him, I said, hey, I did get you at your $730 monthly payment with the principal and interest. I just wanted to let you know the interest rate you had given me was high. It wasn't that number. I did bring it down to 3%. He goes, oh, I don't care as long as it's $730.
Beautiful. That's an important topic to focus on, is the monthly and not the interest rate.
Yeah.
What do you want for a payment? And then you backed it in to make it work for him. And hey, this is the rate. So he got exactly what he wanted, the monthly payment that he wanted.
Yep.
Because you specifically asked him for it.
Yeah, exactly. And it also paired up with like what he was like getting when he was cash flowing the thing. So it was like, it's almost like he's keeping the same exact cash flow as he was getting before, except the fact that he's not responsible for the property and not have to worry about fixing anything again or anything. So it's like a good scenario for him. It's as hands off as possible, and life for him basically stays the same.
All right. There must be more questions than interest rate. We have a $62,000 plus deal, owner financing, that we just went through on a $220,000 house.
Yeah.
Unmute or chat. Someone's got to have something.
Well, I'd love to see too is I'm straining for you guys. That is, tell us a takeaway too. If you don't have a question, tell us what your aha moment was. We just went through this deal. Steve ends up acquiring. This was actually the first deal that Steve did once we became partners with our company here, as we locked arms. And this is the first deal that he did in Rhode Island, and it was a great little owner financing deal. So I'd love to hear what the takeaways are and or questions. Type them in the chat. Utilize that chat if you don't want to be jumping out of your seat right now. It looks like Raphael just chimed in, so did Rusty King.
Yep. Explain, Raphael, thanks for the question. Explain the price drop, Steve, to 219. Was it because of comps? What was the reason for the 219? He was at 229 or something.
I got to read that myself because I was reading somebody else's. Where is that, Brian? Which one was it?
It's Raphael. Explain the price drop to 219. How did you get to 219? Because he was higher on his ask.
Yeah. It was the down payment. We brought his down. He wanted originally 229 with 10,000 down. I might have said it wrong in the beginning, and we got him down to 219 with 15,000 down. So he brought up $5,000 and brought his asking price down $10,000. Does that make sense how I said it?
I don't know, Steve, if you don't think it makes sense, then maybe you should try it one more time.
No, I'm asking you guys if that makes sense to you.
I accept it.
Okay.
Although we are getting we're getting called out on math by Rusty King.
All right, where is it? Show I can see this. Where here we
How
go.
did you come up with the 29,000 on payday one?
20,000 on payday one.
Yeah, he said 20,000. Sorry. You have a 30K spread minus 15 down. Did the 5K deposit go to principal?
Yeah, the whole $15,000 down is 100% principal. It's down payment.
Yeah. Well, I think Rusty too, you might be confusing the two sides. That's the buyer. That's the $20,000 down payment from the buyer. That has nothing to do with the seller. So that's the payday one is the non-refundable deposit that we receive from our buyer.
Mm-hmm.
Rusty, does that answer your question? You can unmute or say yes or no. Wow.
Well,
All right. I think I'm
it
gonna
makes.
go
I
home.
mean, he has a great name, so it makes sense to me.
Yeah. L Rusty approves.
Yeah, Rusty's jealous that Rusty's actual name is Rusty.
It is. Samuel Stewart. This is huge. My takeaway is that all three paydays don't have to be home runs.
Yeah.
As long as two of the three are solid. So yeah, we look at these deals holistically. I have negative payday twos. I have payday twos that are $19. So I don't focus on payday two. We look at the deals holistically, all three paydays.
Mm-hmm.
Great point.
I mean, listen, guys, you're going to run into deals that have incredible payday two cash flow. But historically speaking, usually payday one and payday three are the bigger paydays.
Raphael, again, how long from initial conversation to take and did the deal bring home? So first touch point with the seller to under agreement. How long was that?
That was a week and a half, which is super fast for us. It's usually not that quick, but this guy, I think the fact that he had a vacancy on the house and was looking to make some kind of decision, and we provided a solution for him. So he knew that when you put a renter in a home, obviously there's risk involved, right? No matter what, not to say that you can't successfully have rentals, but there is risk involved. The risk could be some kind of unknown fix. There could be, an AC unit blows, who knows, expensive things that could happen. What we were able to provide was a solution for this gentleman for him to still be able to get cash flow on this property for the next 5 years, but not have a call ever again. He has no responsibility to the home. Life stays the same. And he also has $15,000 now in his pocket to go ahead and do with what he wishes, whether it's another investment to put in his bank, whatever.
Love it. One thing I wanted to just point out, and I've been just seeing this lately within our own community, so I know what's happening on the outside as well, is you notice that Zach went through this, what we went through this like it's old hat, like we do it all the time, and that's because we do. So you really need to go through and cycle through QLS, Linda. So if you don't have the academy, you need to be going through that and practice this. Like whenever I talk to sellers and I'm getting to the point where, you know, I'm getting through the steps, the 7 steps to a taken, maybe I've got an appointment or maybe I've sent them some information, I'll start running through some scenarios on the buy and the sell side. And that does a couple things for me. Number one, I get better at structuring the deals. And then number two, I'm much more confident when I speak with the seller on the second or the third call, or even at the appointment when we start talking about numbers. And I'll run maybe 3 different scenarios based on what the seller told me on length of time that they're willing to go, whether it's 4, 5, 10 years, whatever it is. I'll run those scenarios through so that I have a very, very good understanding. If the seller says, I want this, this, and this, I know that he's within range, or I'm within range of the seller, him or her. So I would encourage everyone to practice this as much as you can, to the point where it just becomes automatic, like your scripts.
Mm-hmm. And also, and somebody said in the chat, and Russell answered it, but in case you're not looking in the chat, somebody had asked, where did you find these leads? This specifically, our lead generation software that all of us use is called My Plus Leads, and we pulled this from a for sale by owner list. That's where this gentleman was found.
FSBO. Any particular reason why he was a FSBO, Steve, and not was he anti-realtor?
Yeah, this guy has been in real estate for a very long time, more of a buy and hold guy, and he seems so simple about everything, even the agreement and all that stuff. Like he had made one comment that this is, you know, the agreement was longer than he was assuming it was going to be, because he's very simple. So I just think that he had confidence in his process that he's been doing forever by himself. He had mentioned at one point he just doesn't use realtors. He didn't say why, but I assume it's because he's clearly capable of not paying somebody 6% of his equity to do it.
Love it.
Oh, does he have any properties in Southern California?
Oh, gotcha.
Russell, I tried to grab another property from him, but he's cleaned out now after this one. He sold his other 4. I wish he had more.
Looks like Wilmar has a question here as well, and something to do with My Plus Leads. Wilmar, maybe you could be a little bit more specific when you're saying, is this for every state, My Plus Lead?
It is.
Yep.
It is. My Plus Leads, Wilmar. The way it works is you have a 50-mile radius of the zip code that you enter into the lead source, and it'll give you all of the FSBOs expired and for rent by owners if you choose to, for that particular radius in the zip code that you put in.
They also give you, like, so for example, too, Wilmer, say there's like an associate in our group, for whatever reason, within their 50-mile radius, they're not getting a ton of leads. What people do in our community is they'll expand another 30 miles to 80 miles. And now that opens them up into whole new counties or just areas that they weren't reaching before, which then jumps their leads up much higher.
I think I just saw Chris pop in too. Chris, I just want to make sure we don't jump over you. I know you're on the phone, but if there's anything you want to add or jump in on. I think I saw.
Chris would be there. Probably trying to find the unmute button if he is here.
Yeah, I know. Talk about old hat.
Wow.
No, I didn't see him pop on.
Laura's got her hand raised.
Oh yeah, perfect. There you go.
Question, because I'm hearing what you're saying, but I'm not following all of it, because you said you had a down payment of $15,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Who put the $15,000 down?
We raised private capital, didn't we, Zach?
Yeah, we pulled money from other deals in order to put it down. That is our down payment on this particular property. Yes.
That's right.
Okay, I thought I heard you say that. I was kind of like, so the 20,000 you got from the buyer, you just kept that. So you only made 5 off of it basically until what? The third payday, you get your money back?
Yeah, the principal pay down of that down payment will all come back at the end.
At the end, because instead of it giving credit to the buyer, you're giving it back to yourself.
Exactly. It's
All right.
100% principal.
Okay, because then on the monthly, you're giving yourself, when did I come up with a number here? I had it down here. Okay, you got $230 a month and out of your portion of the monthly payment for the mortgage?
$230 a month is principal pay down, not spread.
Oh, principal pay down. Okay, so that's on top of the 15 you're gonna get back. What's the 10,900? I got lost on that.
Okay, so the overage of the sale, okay, that's the difference between what we paid the seller, what we sold it for, minus the payday one we got. Okay, so it would be, and I did the math right in front of me.
Okay.
It would be 249,900. That's what we sold it for.
Yep.
Okay, minus the 219 we paid,
Okay,
plus the $20,000 from the buyer's down payment, which leaves an additional 10,900.
okay. I was like, wow, where'd that come from?
Does that make sense how I explained it?
Yeah, but I was kind of like, where'd that come from? Because I was just writing numbers down as fast as I could to keep up with you. Like, I got to stop you guys and ask you what it was. I couldn't let that go.
No. It's good. You want to ask those questions. The last thing you want to feel is that one thing you're not sure of makes this whole deal not make sense to you.
Right. And then, so you ended up buying the house and then did the owner financing, or was there a deed exchange in this?
Yeah, with the owner financing, yeah, we closed on the property on, I thought it was February 28th, but now that I think about it, we closed a week after that because of the attorneys were having trouble communicating. It was like March 9th, we ended up closing on it. And yes, there's an exchange of deed. We are now the owners on title. And he is owners of the bank.
So now it's kind of, you took title to this and then you did the owner financing?
We bought it owner financing, selling it rent to own.
I'm trying to figure out, so how did he, so you had to cut a check to this guy for the whole thing?
We had to cut a check for it was $5,000 that we put as a deposit.
Yeah.
We signed, you wanted skin in the game, non-refundable.
Yeah.
When we closed on 3/7, we paid him the additional 10 to get to the full down payment of 15,000. Does that make sense?
Oh, so he was doing the owner financing basically to you, but you had the buyer in there and you were collecting from, but now I get it. Okay.
Yeah, he is.
Kind of like, did you pay for the house? And then you're like, wait a minute.
The light bulb just went off.
Oh yeah, do you guys
I
need
love it.
sunglasses now? Right.
One way to look at this too, because Laura, you said, we had to come out of pocket, is another angle is you can get the 20 grand from the buyer, pay
Yep.
15 to the seller. You got a free house and plus you got 5 grand. So
Sure.
Yep.
they chose to do it differently because they have money from other deals. They raise private money, but that's another method you could easily use is get the down payment for the seller from your buyer.
Okay.
And also wicked smart financing, depending on if that's a route you want to go as well.
All right. Got it. Thank you.
Hey, Steve, I think Brian has a question, and then Larry has a question in there as well.
Alrighty, let me pull it up.
If you don't mind, let me bring a little bit of clarity here as well. So, yep, Steve, good point. If you're an associate, you have access to our sister company where we can provide capital for these down payments, so you can still get deals done and be a partner in a piece of real estate that you didn't have a down payment on. So that goes for all the associates. Typically, high 6 get first rights, but if there's a good deal, we're always happy to take a look at it. And then we're just at a point in our business right now where we're having a payday 3, at least one every single month. And that have been deals that are done from 3 to 5 years ago. So just having the ability to have these closings gives us access to more capital to roll it into another deal, since we have that capital coming in. So that is something that each and every one of you, as you build your business, will have set up, as long as you're following the systems, following the QLS home study course, implementing it to its fullest degree and continue to go out there and do deals. Doesn't matter if it's a hot, cold, flat market. You'll have the ability to have these deals that are set up now close out in 3 to 5 years from now on a consistent basis if you want them to close out, which means then you can take some of that capital and roll it into some other deals that do require. That's if you're not an associate and you want to access Wicked Smart Finance. So just want to bring some clarity for you guys as well, because day one, when we started our business, it's not that we had $15,000 to put down. We would have went more the route of what Brian was talking about, which is tie it up contingent upon finding a buyer. Go find a buyer, utilize that capital in order to close on a deal, create 60 grand where you had nothing. And now you have a good opportunity to be able to, utilize that buyer's money as well via rent to own on this. So I just want to bring some of that clarity just in case you're sitting here looking at this deal and saying, all right, how can I actually do that when I haven't done a deal yet? Or if I'm just starting in this business, that you have the ability to do that. As long as you're utilizing our contracts and utilizing contingency, you can structure these deals, even if you're outside the community here. So I just wanted to bring that clarity to the table.
Yep. Thank you, Zach. I'll answer a couple of these questions real quick if you guys don't mind. Larry Allen, my middle name's Allen, so I'm going to take this one. You have 5 years and your buyer has 5 years. Are you concerned about the time frame if the buyer has difficulty? Now, Alan, what you should know is we sell our properties to buyers and we give them 24 months to be able to buy the home. And that gives us time to give them extensions if they're close, right? And if we look on the other end of it, right, let's say for whatever reason, a life event happens and the buyer can't purchase the home. We still have an additional 3 years to put in another buyer if we need to, which is giving them still plenty of time to get financing. So that's why we like to have longer terms. It gives us more time to pivot if we need to, and also gives our buyers more time if they need extensions. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, we were just doing a projection of the entire term. That could be within, 12. If you look at the principal pay down, probably within anywhere 5 to 10 grand difference. We also could get an extension, which could make an $80,000 deal.
Okay. Another question is for Brian here. I don't know if you guys want to jump into scripts here, but Chris asked, can you do an example of how an opening call to an expired lead might start off? So I'm probably concerned of someone who doesn't know you're calling or know why you're calling, I assume is the question.
Yeah, I think for the sake of time and doing like a full blown role play, I can just tell you, intro like 1 or 2 minutes exactly what you should be doing when you're calling an expired and what you're trying to find out. It's really what you're trying to find out. Okay, you're calling an expired, they've taken their house off the market. After you identify who you are and why you're calling, hey, this is Brian, I'm calling about your property at 123 Main Street. I'm looking for Steve. Do I have the right number? Yes. Okay. Do you have a few minutes? I want to ask you a few questions about the property to see if it's a good fit for me to buy. I buy homes. I'm looking for another one in the area. Yes. Okay. I noticed you recently came off the market. Is there a particular reason you took it off the market? I'm curious. And then just stop talking. You want to have an understanding of why they took the house off the market. Another way you could say that is, why do you think it didn't sell? Okay. And then you want to have maybe 2 or 3 money questions that you can ask every seller that gets them talking. That's one. The one that I just said, repairs. If I bought the property, are there any repairs that I need to do? Major repairs. Stop talking. Looks like a great property. Why are you selling it? Stop talking. Let them go. They'll normally tell you why they're selling. They bought a house somewhere. They need to relocate. Where are you going? You want to find out where they're going. And then you also want the timeline. When do you need to be where you said you needed to go? What's the date? And then you ask them, and this is important you bring this up because I hear a lot of calls where people are reconfirming something they're looking at on the internet. You're asking $350, right? That's the wrong way to ask the question. What's the price that you're hoping to get for the property? What are you hoping to get out of this? Let them answer it. If they reiterate what's online, that's fine. You'd be surprised how many times they will discount it right then and there. Okay, so then this is the end of the call in terms of the script. If I could help you relocate down south to be with your family and agree upon a price that makes sense for you, would you be open to selling on a lease, purchase, or owner financing? That's what you're trying to do. That took me like 3 minutes, not even. That's all you're trying to do. And then explain lease purchase if they ask, and then you move on. You move through the next step. Again, this is all in our academy. This is all in QLS. All these scripts are in there. Tons of live calls. Review it, review it, review it, review it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important, like Brian said, you just can't be suggestive to the people you're speaking to. You got to get that, authentic, genuine response. That's the truth. If you start leading them, right, towards what the answer could be, you might not get the depth of the answer you're looking for. That's actually not surface level, right? Surface level is where we start, and then we hone in, and like Brian says, we isolate that, and we get really deep on figuring out what that specific thing is, motivation, where they're going, have they already bought their house yet, how long did that until they move there by, all that stuff. I think that's a huge point, Brian, that you said. I'm going to put Juan on the spot here because I can't answer the question for you. You said that find the buyer part is still hocus pocus. You have to explain to us what you mean so we can answer that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, what I meant is the mystery of finding the right prospect or to buy the house. Because usually when you listed, you have people who are ready to get a loan, but how do you find the people who cannot apply for a regular loan? Who will be your prospects for the type of deals that you present to them? That's what I meant to say, sir.
Got it. Is Nick, I mean, any one of us can answer it, but I thought I saw Nick earlier on the call. Is he on the call still or no? No. Okay.
I don't think he is.
Okay. Who wants to jump on this? Any one of us can.
All right, you've done 12 deals. Tell us about your magic of hocus pocus, find these buyers.
Yeah. I think you said Brian. Finding the buyers for me is the easy part. It's finding the house. Finding the houses is the more difficult part. So we're looking, Juan, for folks that are looking to make the leap from renting to buying, and there's tons of them, right? 80%, 70 to 80% of the market can't qualify for a loan. So you're not going to run out of candidates. Okay. You're not going to have enough houses for the candidates. So again, in mod 9 of QLS, run through the entire process, how we find them, how we market, the scripts we use to talk to them, which is something that needs to be well rehearsed as well. So it's never an issue finding a buyer. They're all over the place. You just have to market appropriately. And when you find the buyers will show themselves. I went to a buyer meeting today, earlier this morning, where we collect a buyer deposit and they sign a letter of intent. And if we accept them, they move to the next step, which is the closing. When you find the right buyer, they show themselves. They do everything you ask them to do. You're basically leading them through the steps, and it becomes very easy if you're patient and you're dialed in with the process.
And Juan, the majority of the buyers are usually either self-employed, they've had a life event like a death, a divorce, a relocation of a job. These are people who are like just outside of financeability. Now, we're not talking about people who just habitually don't pay their mortgage. Now they have bad credit. These are people who deserve a chance of just right outside of that area. So they're perfect people for the home who can't afford it.
Got it. Thank you.
This is a good point. I'll try to get right to the point here. And that is, everybody's been watching the interest rates rise, right? I'm actually in the traditional market of buying my house for my family. And when I started my journey, the interest rates were at about 3%. By the time I found a house and made an offer, about 90 days later, they were in the 5s. What that means is there is a huge portion of buyers that could have qualified for loans 90 days ago that can no longer qualify for loans. There are also people that were ready to buy, have down payments, have strong incomes, are set up, like they're literally ready to buy, but now their debt to income ratio, because the interest rate now has pushed them out of the market. So now you have the ability to go ahead and acquire these properties and just give these buyers time in order to become homeowners. These are perfect buyers right now. And as the interest rates continue to rise, more and more and more people are continuing to be our buyers. So I don't want you to, I'm just hammering this home because I don't want you to think that these are like buyers that nobody wants. These are buyers that are fantastic people that literally just need time in order to qualify for loans. And I know that because I was one of them at one point in time and bought my first house on a lease option. So It's your self-employed. It's your people that have plenty of cash that don't show. And now they have the ability to live in the house while they begin this season and process to then become homeowners. So I just want to continue to give that additional perspective.
Yeah. Such
Thank
a
you.
great point. I mean,
If you don't believe me, I have some friends around the corner in a very dark suburban with tinted.
Smoking cigars.
Yes. Love it. Brian, what I was going to ask, as I just love to continue to see people's takeaways, but what I was going to ask, Brian, is you brought up this, perspective on how you're starting to look at deals differently. And I mean, it took me 6, 12 months, 10, 15 deals before I even started to get it, in all honesty. What is the, I guess, what's the process now that you're going through of when you're talking to a seller and how you're starting to process the deal in your head? Because you said that you've run through a couple of different scenarios. So even if it's not exactly streamlined here, and I know you're going to talk about it in our associate private mastermind in about 15 minutes, but I figured maybe you could give it a little bit of a taste for everyone here, as we got about 80 people on.
yeah, definitely. So as I'm talking to sellers and I'm getting the information that I want to get to be able to start to structure these deals, which is, what's your equity position? Like, what do you want out of this house, right? Like, what's your net? What's the amount of time? Like, they're already open to doing something on lease purchase. They can wait for their money, or they're in a situation where they can do seller financing. So I want to know the length of time. And then, I don't necessarily need to know what their monthly payment if it's owner financing, but I at least want to know what their mortgage is if they have a mortgage and we're doing a lease purchase. So I really just want to know what their maximum timeline is and then what their net is. And then I can start looking at, a lot of the times if you ask the question the right way, like what's your net, a lot of the sellers will discount the house big time. That's why that question's so important, is net versus price. Then I start looking at, okay, if a seller says, hey, I'm willing to go 4 years. I know they'll probably look at 5, 6, or maybe longer. So when I'm crafting my options, I'll run those 3 scenarios, 48, 60, 72 months. And I'll just look at the deal holistically. Like, this is what I can sell it for. And I will also stress test it too, Zach. Like, I'll do kind of a worst case scenario. And if I can live with that, then when I go back to the seller, I know, like, I can live with this. If the seller says he wants, 50,000 and he's going to go he only wants 48 months and he wants this monthly payment, and I've already gone through the exercise, I know with confidence that, like, yeah, I can probably do that. I think I can do that. Let me just look at it. And at that point, I'll know it's a deal and I'll send them an agreement. So that's kind of how I approach it here after doing a bunch of these.
Yeah, and then pinpointing what is most important to them. Right? You get through conversations, and I would say that a majority of us, as we begin doing deals, we start to have a, let's say, a gut feel, but we start to have an understanding of when we solve somebody's challenge by just having a conversation. Like, you're like, all right, I got this. So now, after you solve the challenge, now the deal itself is just trying to find where you and the seller both connect, meaning where your financial gain in creating this deal and where you're solving their challenge interconnect based on the terms. And I think a lot of it is exactly what Brian's saying, which is finding out what makes the most sense for you, find out what makes the most sense for them, and then the deal structure itself isn't that complicated.
No.
I would say too, like, and this is more or less just small tidbits, but 2 of the things that I learned, one specifically was, it doesn't matter how much you want a deal, how much you want the deal you're working on to progress. They progress when your seller is ready for it to progress. You can't force people to work with you. It happens when they're ready. Okay. The other thing too, as well, is you can't present deals based off of what you want, you know what I mean? Or what deal type you want to do, right? It always ends up working if you find a solution or a deal type, sub to, owner financing, AOs, lease purchase. The deal that you're doing should be the deal that is the one that fits them. It's not, oh, I want a lease purchase, I'm just going to push this on them until they take it. Doesn't ever work like that. You have to be able to make these custom to be able to fit the needs of the person that you're working with, so you can solve their motivation, and doing it the way that you want to necessarily deal type. It just doesn't work like that. I learned that the hard way a couple times I don't get why this person wouldn't do that. Well, if they want cash flow, maybe the lease purchase wouldn't be the right fit for them. Just like the thinking behind it. So it was good hindsight for me.
And if you guys are enjoying this, I know we're running up to the end here. If you guys are enjoying this, meaning you're getting a ton of value, then come spend the entire day. I can tell you, Chris and I have been outlining the agenda for the summer deals, which is on June 3rd. It's on a Friday. We polled everyone. It's a virtual event. Everyone told us Friday. So we booked it on a Friday. But we have 4, if not 5 sections of about 45 minutes to an hour where we are dissecting deals, not just us, but other associates and different scenarios. Because the more you can spend dissecting deals, the easier it becomes to structure these and get properties under agreement. So come spend some time with us. All you have to do is just go to that link that Pete Gormley posted, which is smartrealestatecoach.com/summer deals. And you can go ahead and get there, or summerdeals.com is also another way for you to get there. We do run a workshop right before it as well on the 2nd. The workshop is for those who haven't gone through our course yet, are looking for an introductory, and that link's up there as well. Feel free to register. That's absolutely free for you to go ahead and attend, and that will be from 1 to 4 on that Thursday before. Give you a good introductory, and then head on over to the event the following day, so you'll be completely immersed and ready to structure more and more deals. I want to end with this, and that is, this is the time to start doing creative financing. There are, as we just explained, buyers that are by the droves that are being pulled out of being able to qualify for loans. And now we're starting to see sellers from all different walks of life, tired landlords, single family homes, multifamilies. They're all there's a large amount of them now are in a position where the market's either not bearing what they wanted to originally sell for because the market's pulling back. You have people that are in arrears and we also have moratoriums being lifted. You're going to start to see a large shift in inventory and more properties still in the market. And if you can provide that solution to people for the next 12, 24, 36, 5 years, and help them through this next market shift, you're going to be putting yourself in a very good financial position to scale and grow some wealth here. So come spend some time with us. Look at those links. Again, summerdeals.com or smartrealestatecoach.com/events/summer deals. I'm sure your investment in your time and your dollars will be well worth it. And those that haven't dove into our course or anything just yet, then head on over and register for the workshop as well. Appreciate seeing all you guys. And we will see you next week. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you guys need us. We also have the link for our strategy call in there as well, where myself or one of the team will walk you through your next steps and how to best get involved in this business.
Thanks for coming out, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.